Everyone, it's Shushan Purim, and I wanted to share some ideas as not to forget what can be experienced on Purim and the depth of Purim. There's so many things to ask, and there's a lot of deep concept that we'll try to answer. First of all, the whole idea of on Purim to dress up and putting different clothings, and then the idea that we have to accept the Torah, and there's all like, how did they actually accept the Torah? What was their accepting on Mount Sinai? It says they accepted the Torah forcefully. They was completely out of awe of what they saw, and they were so impressed, so amazed, and they saw Hashem, so to speak. They saw Hashem, and it was a very spiritual experience. They had prepared 40 days, and then at the end of 40 days, they said Naseh v'nishma. And not only that, what happened? They completely lost their soul. Their soul got trapped, attached to Hashem. And they accept the Torah. At Purim, there was no miracle like that, spiritual stuff like that, lightning, and their soul didn't leave their body, stuff like that. So, what exactly happened there that they accepted the Torah? So I want to start with the idea of the clothing, and through that we will try to understand a bit what's going on. So first, what happened is that when we want to discuss clothing or any concept, we have to go first in Tanakh, in the Torah, where it does first appear in the Torah. And the first time it speaks about begadim, about clothing, levush, is by Adam HaRishon, where Adam HaRishon sins, and when he sins, his eyes opens and he realizes he's naked. And when he realizes he's naked, obviously we're speaking on a very spiritual level, he's naked of his spirituality, but in the same time he realizes how physical he has become because of this loss of spirituality, and therefore he takes from the tree, or the tree of the Etz Hadas. Some say it was a fig tree, different opinions, but basically he put something, and then later on Hashem comes and brings them. He dressed them up. Adam dressed himself up, but Hashem decided he didn't have to do that. He decided to dress him up. Why? So it says. No, sorry. So after they were punished, right? It says that here on the 3rd chapter, verse 21, it says, "And Hashem, God, made for Adam and his wife garments of skin, and he clothed them." So there's a lot of things that it speaks in the Midrash about why he did that. Ksones or, like an abiment of skin. So it says that it was made, something was, Rashi explained that it was made of wool. There's a lot of midrashim. It was soft and good. It's actually the garments that Esav had, and some of the commentaries explain that Hashem made that in order for them to feel good and better, not to be completely depressed. Yes, you are naked, but here I'm clothing you, I'm taking care of you, I'm loving you. You are still chance. I don't abandon you just like that. And that was before he actually sent them out of the Garden of Eden, just before that. So this is very interesting, because here when it speaks about garments, there is a shame in it. And what's the shame? The shame is that so look what the pasuk says. right after he sinned, it says that they heard the sound of Hashem, God manifesting itself in the garden towards evening, and the man and his wife hid from Hashem, God, among the trees of the garden. And Hashem called out to the man and said to him, Ayeka, where are you? Now it's so interesting because it says right after, it's connected to Purim. First of all, Hashem is trying to say, okay, where are you? What are you doing? He's trying to push him to admit what he did, to be true to himself, to stand up for himself and to say his fault. He said, I heard the sound of you in the garden and I was afraid. Why he was afraid? I was afraid because I am naked. So I hid. That's why he did. And he said, who told you that you're naked? And then the very important sentence now, have you eaten of the tree from which I commanded you to eat? And the Gemara says, Gemara in Chulin 139, it says that there are certain names in the Megillah, Esther, Mordechai, Haman, and it speaks also of Moshe, that all those names appear in the Torah, they're hinted in the Torah. And where does the man Haman appear in the Torah? Right here. When it says, Hamin ha'etz, when Hashem asks, did you eat from the tree? So, Hamin ha'etz, did you eat from the tree? Hamin means Haman. It's the same letters. And here, that's where Haman is hinted. So the idea is that here, Adam is put in a place of doubt. Hashem is speaking to him as if he doesn't know. He's asking, he's giving him a chance. He's giving, is it chance? Or is it not chance? Is it Hashem knows everything? So what's going on? Adam is put in a place of doubt. Hamin ha'etz, Hashem asking the question, put Adam in a place of doubt. And we know Safek is Gematria Amalek, which is Haman, Gematria 240. And therefore, there is here a whole hint of being dressed or being naked, and Purim being dressed or naked. So what's the whole idea of being dressed or being naked, or putting garments? We put garment in order in two ways, or to hide who we are, or to reveal who we really are. What happened is that the whole story of Purim, my Rebbe, Shubi Gesund und Stark, explains that the whole idea of Purim is a question of loyalty, to be true to yourself, to take responsibility for yourself. Are you gonna step up and act in a way that reveals the true you, reveals your mission, reveals your true identity? And that's why Esther, the whole thing of Esther is hiding her identity, and then she has to reveal her identity. Who are you as a Jew? Are you hiding as a Jew? Are you revealing yourself as a Jew? As Jews, we feel sinful, guilty all the time because we have a huge neshama. And the clothing of ore, of light, that we used to have disappeared through our sin. And in everyday life, same thing. We feel great, all of a sudden we sin and we feel terrible, we feel dirty, we feel like my light has left me. And we dress up, we cover up, we hide, like Adam did. And the key is not to hide from Hashem and to take a stand up and say, yes, I sinned and it's my mistake. I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm loyal to myself, to what I believe in. And I'm going to be a true server. I'm going to do tshuva and serve God now with truth. So here we have already an idea of the whole idea of clothing and getting dressed on Purim. And in a way, we're making a statement. Who do you truly want to be in front of Hashem? If you were now in the Garden of Eden, how would you dress up if you were going to live in Gan Eden? Right? Purim is a story of Adam, Eve, and the snake. There's Mordechai, who is Adam. Esther is Chava, and the snake is Haman. And Hashem is Achashverosh, as we know whenever it says the king without Achashverosh name, it refers to Hashem actually. So we have the whole story of Gan Eden there, and the whole idea is to try to realize that every moment of our life, here in this world, in the very physical world, we have an opportunity to recreate Gan Eden here on earth. And Purim is the climax of that. Purim is the realization that, you know what, Hashem is so involved with us, and I have the ability to be loyal to myself, and to take responsibility and change things and be a good person. Doesn't matter how many times you sin. Even after you sin, Hashem comes and say, how are you? How are you doing? Let me give you new clothing. You're naked. Hashem loves you even after you sin. And we, as Jews, we try to hide. And we get upset at Hashem. We run away from Hashem. Don't run away from Hashem. Hashem is everywhere. The more you think you can run away from Hashem, you don't understand who Hashem is. You're doing the same mistake of Adam Arishon. So on Yom Kippur, we don't hide anymore. And we're so happy, we're full of joy, because it doesn't matter if how I dress, who I am. Hashem is here with me, and He's always here to clothe me and to love me. Now that's a little bit one of the way we can accept Hashem on Purim. We know on Har Sinai there was the sin of the golden calf, and we see the Yom Kippur is like Purim. That Purim is the greatest, and Yom Kippur is a hint of Purim, of the greatness of Purim. And what's happened on Yom Kippur, we were forgiven also. It's also a day of forgiveness. What happened? We forgive. If Hashem tells, dress yourself in white, become like angel, you know how great your soul is. And on Yom Kippur, that's when Moshe came down with the luchos, with the second pair, and said, you see, you can do over, you can start again, you can put new clothing on, just like the Kohen on Yom Kippur keeps changing clothing. Once he's done with these clothes, he doesn't put them back again. He put another type of cloth. He can use it only one time. So we have to be like the Kohen Gadol. We have to be like Moshe Rabbeinu, who comes down with the luchos. We have to understand there's always the ability to fix things and to change things, and to have a love relation with Hashem. Now, speaking about, so this is basically the idea of clothing. I think I said most of the stuff I wanted to say about clothing, about accepting Torah Shebirsav and accepting the Torah. On Har Sinai, we are to accept Torah Shebirsav which is the written Torah. With the main group, what did they hear? They heard the Sefer HaBris. Rashi says Sefer HaBris is Moshe told them everything that had happened, the whole story from Bereshit till the going out of Egypt, Mount Sinai. So they had the whole picture and say, yes, we want that story, understand the story, we want to follow Avram's way, we want to be a light into the nation. So they say, Naseh v'nishma, we want to do that. They didn't know all the details of the laws and all that. So therefore, the whole thing of Torah Sheba'al Peh was not completely accepted. They accepted out of love. They didn't know what it was, but it's scary, Torah Sheba'al Peh, because it's full responsibility of all the commandments and the laws that the rabbis do. What if you make a mistake and you paskin and you give a law on for someone, this is kosher, not kosher, tameh, not tameh, what if you're wrong? So it's a tremendous responsibility. Only at the time of Purim, it was the first time when the Jews felt. I'm saying Rashi says how did they accept the Torah? Rashi says in Gemara Shabbos, they accepted out of love for the Nisim. They realized, wow, Hashem was so involved with us in everything we do. And Mordechai and Esther, they made the decisions to be part of the political thing with Achashverosh, and Esther went there and was put in that position, and they went for it. They followed Torah Sheba'al Peh. What was the right thing to do at that moment? It was very intense. How could Esther do that? How could Mordechai allow Esther to do that? It seemed to be pretty intense. If imagining today, if it would have happened that one of the daughter or wife of one of the biggest gadol who is summoned by the Syrian king, whatever, and now she's stuck there, and she has to marry him, and she had a child with him. So it's a very intense moment, and the Jews realized that all that was Hashem involved with them. So they accepted out of love the Torah. Har Sinai has to do a lot with the sing. They saw the sound, and they realized that to do with seeing that it was a lot of yira, and they saw the miracles. On Purim, it was all about listening. They heard They they heard the story. They heard what happened with Esther. Esther was silent. There's a whole thing of Mordechai say you should not stay silent. When you stay silent, and Adam and Eve, who heard the voice of God after the sin, they heard the voice of God walking in the garden. The whole thing is on the level of Shomea. On side Har Sinai was a level of seeing. They even saw the sound. On Esther, they were received the Torah on Shomea, listening, which is Torah Sheba'al Peh. You listen to Torah Sheba'al Peh is the acceptance of the Torah out of love, by understanding. And Shema, we know, is all Ve'afta et Hashem Elokecha, is all about love. Now, and that's the tremendous joy. The tremendous joy is when Hashem speaks to us. On Purim, we have to understand that Hashem speaks to us through the people, through the events. And so an idea is that Hashem still loves us even after we sin. He still speaks to us after we sin. I'm looking at my notes so I don't want to forget all the different concepts. Now there's another idea that I want to speak about. By the way, I want to mention also that when we say that in the morning, Hashem Malbish Arumim, why do we say Malbish Arumim? It refers to Hashem dressing up in Gan Eden after we sin. That is Rami Bachya said to show them that He still loves us even though we sin. There's still communication. So that's a very powerful thing to remember in the morning when we say Malbish Arumim, we dress up. Hashem is a reminder that Hashem still loves us, and we have other opportunities to fix what we did. And also an idea of the Kohen Gadol dressing the garment, which happens just before Purim, just by coincidence, right? By Parashat Tetzaveh, we speak about the garments of the Kohen Gadol, who is dressing up to be like Adam, like an angel in front of Hashem. And that the garments will provide them the ability to go back to eat from the tree of life, and encourage them to try to reconnect to Hashem. That's why Bachya, I think also that's way speaking, that the Midrash also that Hashem is giving the garments is dressing up Adam and Chava to allow them to feel good and eventually go back to it from the tree of life. Okay, now one more idea I want to share is about Nadav and Abihu. Why do we drink on Purim? On Purim we drink, and all of a sudden it becomes that whole thing of being shikar and drunk until we don't know Hashem. Now it's very strange. What does that mean? That we don't know Hashem. Just now, when so we know the Etz Hadas. The Etz Hadas was wine. They say the wine or grape juice, and therefore we try on Purim to fix the sin of Adam HaRishon. Obviously, everything is connected with the garments, all that. But here about drinking, so we try to fix the Etz Hadas. And there's another place where we where we speak about wine. Each time trying to fix the sin of Adam HaRishon. One after Adam HaRishon who sinned, we have the same thing with Noach. Very interesting. Noach drinks and gets naked again, and he needs to be clothed by his sons. Also an idea of getting dressed and clothing, and the sin of Adam HaRishon that he's trying to fix. So we see we have to see that when we drink, we have to be able to stay dressed, so to speak. So on Purim, we drink and we get dressed, fixing Adam and Noach, and also the next thing that is very interesting is with Nadav and Abihu. Nadav and Abihu just happened this year to recognize the parallel, because it says Adam and Abihu were Rashi said were greater. Moshe realized, told Aaron, Nadav and Abihu, your sons, the Kohanim, were higher than you and me. Why? Because look, they went and they brought a special sacrifice of Ketores. Kloresh, which actually is a hint to Mordechai. Mordechai is Mordaor, which corresponds to the incense. And they brought the Ktores, and they got burned. They put an alien fire. They got burned, and they died al Kiddush Hashem. And Hashem said, and Rashi explains that Hashem did that in order, at the beginning of the inauguration of the temple, to show the people. Well, let's see what it says. Hashem spoke to Aaron saying, so Hashem speaks directly to Aaron, right? Do not drink intoxicated wine. Now, what do you mean intoxicated wine? Do not drink wine, intoxicated wine. Obviously, here, yain shechar is a hint to Purim, where you drink and get intoxicated. You and your sons with you, and you can drink wine, but not intoxicated. When you come to the tent of meeting, that you not die. This is a natural decree for your generation. So this is here to teach them. Hashem is trying to teach them something that to be with wine, in order to distinguish between the sacred and the profane, and between the contaminated and the pure, and to teach the children of Israel all the decrees that Hashem had spoken to them through Moshe. It's so weird. This is what to distinguish between two. Lehavdil, why is that? Ulehavdil ben hakodesh uben achol uben hatameh uben hatahor. What does that remind us of? Ad desholoriada. You should drink onto the level that you will not, that you're not gonna know the difference between curse is Mordechai and Baruch is Haman. Baruch is Mordechai and curse is Haman. So here we have a parallel where here you should do not drink in order to make the difference. But on Purim we say no. You realize really there's no difference. So what is trying to teach us here? I think it's a very, very, very powerful thing. The story of Nadav and Avihu, and is to teach us a hint about Purim. You know what Purim is? Purim is a moment when you can be like, almost like Nadav and Avihu. We can reach a level where your service of God is here on earth. It's very extreme physical, and it's so you're involved in the physical, but you can achieve a level at the Shoriyada that transcends everything. You achieve a level where God is here with you and even burns you. You can be on earth and get involved with physical stuff, and you're going to be the closest to Hashem, so close that you're going to burn you can die. What is telling us? It's telling us that Hashem is so involved with your life that you can sense Him. And if you go even too far, you can die. Here on earth, in the physical world, Hashem is here. He's walking in the garden. The garden is here. You can recreate the garden. So Purim is a tremendous joy because we realize what Hashem is here. There's no greater joy than that. That Hashem is here, and I can also, to speak, feel Him, and we can go so far that Hashem is going to react on me. It's amazing. Hashem loves us. Hashem is here and involved. So that's why Hashem say, do not drink intoxicated wine. Be careful, because you can touch Hashem here on earth in the physical world, really. And if you come too close, you're going to burn. And that's the greatness of Nadav and Avihu, who were so close to Hashem that even on earth they were born. And that's to teach an individual lesson, because we learn a little bit that concept. My Rebbe explains how incredible the Jewish people are in the building of the Mishkan, which was just before the story of Purim, right? What happens? Well, that's when we read it. So what happened, the building of the Mishkan which actually happened now during the month of Adar, just before the inauguration, on the first of Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And then what happened is that the Jews built something that even after the sin, to fix their sin of the golden calf, which was a kapara for the sin of Adam Arishon. So after that, it's like the clothing for the Jewish people. The Beis HaMikdash became a clothing for the Jewish people, a fixing, and they can build a Mishkan, a structure that brings the Shekhinah down. It's so strong that even Moshe Rabbeinu cannot enter into the Mishkan. Now everybody has to leave. That's how powerful. That's what we can do as a group, as a nation. But here, Nadav Avihu is speaking as individuals. It's always concept of prat and klal, the everyone as a whole and individual. And here, the individual is us Jews, like Nadav and Avihu, that we can reach a level where we get so close to Hashem that we can burn ourselves. And if I remember correctly, the Arita said in Nadav and Avihu were recounted from Adam Arishon. Anyway, there's a lot of hint everywhere, but here we see, I think, is a tremendous teaching about our closeness to Hashem, and that's why we drink on Purim. We drink on Purim to try to feel that concept, to feel that idea, to feel it's much higher than Yom Kippur. It's much higher than to be like an angel. I can be so physical. I can engross in the physicality in the world, and I let my soul go through my body completely, and I use my body to connect to my soul, and with that I connect to Hashem. With all my sin, with all my physicality, with all my lowliness as a human being, and we're basically trying to say that there's no difference between Haman and Mordechai. Hashem speaks to us through all the different people. We're back in Gan Eden. We try to reach a level of joy where we realize Hashem speaks to us, speaks through Haman, speaks through the rabbis, Mordechai, the tzaddik of the generation. And I think those are all the ideas that I wanted to share with you. And we didn't use them this year for Purim, but hopefully next year we'll use them. And I think it's really amazing. It's amazing, and we can use all those ideas, even though it's not just on Purim. Purim is where we get the main idea. We can use those ideas and go during the year with that sense of happiness, that sense that I am in Gan Eden, that sense that Hashem is speaking to me. I have to listen to the messages. And Bezat Hashem, if we do that, we'll be ready for next Rosh Hashanah in an entire new dimension. And Hashem is going to bring the Geula. Actually, we're just before Pesach, where if we are able to understand that, what Mordechai and Esther were trying to teach, what Nadav and Avihu were trying to do, and what Hashem taught through them, is that we can do it here. And on Pesach is our redemption. We erect the Mishkan, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and it is Passover. And Passover, we can really go out from our own galus as an individual, as a Jewish people. May we all experience galus this year, Bezat Hashem, and we'll see you all in Israel, in Gan Eden, right here.